Joining me now to discuss voting on the resistance package and the big, beautiful bill, and perhaps even a little commentary on what we just saw, is the representative of North Carolina's 3rd Congressional District, Congressman Greg Murphy. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Just real quick, what is your hot take on Senator Padilla trying to make his way to Kristi Noem?
You know, Andrew, I've said this a couple times recently. I used to play a lot of sports, especially in basketball back in the day. It wasn't the first foul that people noticed. It was always the second foul. So here we have people, not talking about the foul of all the 13 to 20 million people that came in the country illegally. They're screaming about our response to it, the fact that people are here illegally or they're here illegally committing crimes. And this is what the Democrats do. They scream, they rant and rave because of our reaction to their bad policy. Look, I don't know what his intentions were coming in, but to the point where you can't go and rush a secretary, a cabinet member at any type of place, preceding a press conference or anything, and not expect to be taken down by the Secret Service or by a security detail, being unrealistic. He was a little mea culpa out there pretending he was just there to ask a peaceful question. Sorry, that's not what it looked like, buddy. So it's one of those mantras, don't believe what you see, but believe what we tell you. So I guess they'll scream more and more, and they'll say it's peaceful protests over in Los Angeles, too. But, the truth is they just create chaos.
All right, let's talk the big, beautiful bill. The Democrats are trying to scare people. I remember the old video of Paul Ryan pushing grandma off a cliff. They're trying to say that Republicans are taking away health care. Republicans are stripping out, school lunch programs. Yep. And Scott Bessent is saying clearly, we're talking about able-bodied people and people in the country illegally. We want the resources to go to where the program intended them to go.
Yeah. It's called accountability, Andrew, and this is what this administration is all about. And, I was in the Ways and Means conference room all day yesterday at the hearing with the secretary. And basically, Democrats are screaming, all these people are all losing health care. They weren't eligible for it to begin with. So if you look at the 3 categories who are going to not be covered by Medicaid anymore, number 1 is illegal. 13, 20 million in the country illegally. They shouldn't have qualified. It should have not been offered to them in the first place. Essentially, it was offered to them as a bribe to come stay in the country, change the congressional districts, and change voting patterns in the United States. Number 2, illegal. Ineligible. The Biden administration did not allow states, which normally do this, to go back and look at their Medicaid rolls, determine eligibility. Are you an impoverished child, a pregnant female, disabled, or an impoverished elderly person? Do you qualify for Medicaid? So we're going to get folks who are ineligible off the rolls. And then finally, able-bodied adults. Heck, I still see patients, and I still see some who are able-bodied, and they should not be getting Medicaid. So I don't know how you can argue with any of those 3 tenets in doing this. But, of course, they're going to do it because they're going to rant and rave and scream. Again, it's not the first foul. It's the reaction to the foul that they're screaming about.
That would be like if somehow somebody who never served in the military was getting health care from the VA, and you're like, well, you're not really eligible for that. We're not going to, you're no longer going to be getting a VA benefit. And someone goes, you're taking away that person's health care. Yeah, exactly. They never served in the military. They're not eligible to get VA health care. You would think the Democrats would want the resources best spent on the indigent poor, like you said, perhaps a single mom who lost her husband and is a widow, or orphaned children, or whatever is what the program was intended for. It was not intended to be a come one, come all free insurance program.
Sure. So, then you got to have to, Andrew, you ask, what is the motivation behind this? Why are they pushing this? And, we asked this during the whole immigration issue right at the beginning. Why are they doing this? Why are they doing this? This was to change voting patterns in the United States, to flood some states like California, which should have lost even another congressional district if it were not for Pelosi's, movement of some of the congressional numbers. But they did this to try to disrupt voting patterns in the country. That's bottom line. Yes, does our immigration system need to be fixed? Absolutely. I think we actually need to triple some of our visa programs. People want to come in the country who can do the work, who want to do the work, who want to pay the taxes and then go back home. We should do that. But you can't just open up the doors of the country and let in people you don't know where they're from, where they're going, what they're doing. You don't know any of these things. But that's what they wanted. They invite chaos, and they don't like our response to that chaos.
All right, so you passed the first rescission package, $9.4 billion. Will there be more?
Yeah, there will be, Andrew. There has to be. I mean, you look at what DOJ has found. I had a great breakfast this morning listening to one of the real hard workers come in and talk about what DOJ is doing. And I wish he could explain this, and I hope he comes before the Ways and Means Committee to explain all that has been done. I think the Democrats would have a hard time arguing with some of this nonsense. And, look, I believe the rescission only took out about 15% of funding for NPR, maybe 1% of PBS. So it's really dropping the bucket in some of these institutions, but they didn't need to be political organizations, which they had become.
All right. Well, looks like Republicans, it's promises made, promises kept on this stuff. Thank you so much for joining us.
Great. Thank you, Andrew. Have a good day.